Welcome to the Wealthworthy Podcast. I'm Trisha.
Hi, I'm Darian.
Thank you for joining us.
Today on this episode of Wealthworthy, we're going to be getting a little bit more insight on Trisha's life and her upbringing and just what motivates her. So my first question for you, Trisha, what made you get into finance?
So I was interested in just learning more about how to earn. And so I wanted to really understand what it took to earn money. I had started doing accounting for a little bit in high school, and I recognized really quickly that that was not what I was interested in. So I wanted to shift gears and focus on finance, and I've been doing that ever since.
Okay, nice. Next question. What's your dream job? If you could be doing anything right now, what would be your focus?
I would be interested in being a speaker in different capacities, like doing different speaking engagements, being able to be seen as a finance expert, not just in what I do now, which is financial planning and budgeting, but also in more of the personal finance space, just being able to understand my own finances, other people's finances, being able to give advice, just being seen as an all-around financial expert.
What's some advice you would give someone interested in your field?
One of the biggest things I would make mention of is just being sure that you're interested in a specific field versus just doing something because it seems like it'll make you a good amount of money. And then I would probably also say speak to as many people as you can, because just understanding different stories that people have kind of gives you some indication of whether or not it be something you really wanted to get into, or if you change your mind after speaking to them. For me, like even when I was getting into finance, I would ask the interviewers questions about how they got into the field. And there was one interviewer that stuck out to me where he was telling me that he had a hard time finding a role, because I asked about internships at the time. And he said he hadn't done an internship because the market was tough at the time, and so they weren't hiring for as many internships. And when he said that, I wasn't really thinking much of it. I was just like, oh, dang, like that isn't the ideal situation. But fast forward now, when I think about my own experience, I had gotten an internship, but it was difficult to find a role after graduation because that's when we had hit that recession point. And so I think really if I took to heart more of what different people were saying at the time, I would have factored a lot of that into my own decision making and determining what would work or what strategies I should employ to find what I was looking for at the time.
Good stuff. Do you think there's something you could have done differently to push you further?
The one thing that I could have done is really just thinking through what I wanted versus what the schools or different individuals were pushing us all towards. So in college, I felt like the emphasis was always around working in the financial sector, i.e. one of the big investment banks, or working in one of the big four accounting firms. A lot of focus was placed on how can you get into one of those spaces. And so on some levels, that kind of made me feel like, oh, I should be aiming for that. But I would have taken a step back and said, like, hey, I want to be focused on how can I earn more, or how do I earn, which you can get some of that from an investment bank, but just understanding on a general level would have been helpful to say, maybe I'd do advising, or maybe I'd work in this kind of space. Because at the time, my focus was always fashion and finance. So I wanted to be able to pair the two. But I didn't even focus on finding roles that would give me that. Like I wasn't focused on, oh, how can I do fashion and finance after graduation? It was just like, okay, investment banking or accounting firm, what's my pick? And I should have focused more on me.
How can you improve your current situation?
Right now, I'm just focused on how can I grow and strengthen my own personal brand. And so just continuing that focus on what can I do to strengthen my own skills in communication and finance, my technical abilities, and then being able to have that be visible across different platforms, different people, just as widespread as I could be. Because it's one thing to know all of your stuff and to do a good job at what you're currently working on. But if no one knows that you do it or no one knows that you're interested in something, then you end up being in that same space because people aren't picking up on cues that you would want to do something different.
What are some words and or mantras that you live by?
For me, the big thing is love and honesty. So I always feel like being able to have those two things or work on yourself to be able to practice being honest or practice being loving and understanding of different situations are two things that are life goals for me. Just how can I be more open and honest about things? Because sometimes I think we all kind of get afraid of situations that we have going on, or not afraid, but you might feel embarrassed about certain things that are going on or where you are. And just being able to live in your own truth sometimes, or living to a point where you feel comfortable in your truth, is something that I think is worth striving towards. And that's one thing that I always try to work towards. And then the loving part of it is just feeling compassion towards other people, understanding what's going on around you, being conscious of the things that you're doing and how it impacts you and other people. I think all of those are areas where you can really make a good impact on people and make a good impact on yourself. And so those are the two kind of things that I work towards all the time.
How do you want to be remembered?
I want people to be able to see that I am open, honest, loving, and then just an all-around genuine person. I feel like we all make mistakes. I've made my share of mistakes, but just being able to grow past that and people being able to see that in you, that they can look past all the things that you've done because they can see how you work to progress and how you put the time into being a better person as you go along. And then, of course, on the career front, I'd want to be seen as an expert in what I'm doing. Excellence communicator, excellence in the financial space.
How do you brand yourself?
In terms of branding, there's a speech that I heard a couple years ago where the woman, Carla, she was speaking about choosing 3 different words that you would use to describe yourself and having that be what your brand represents. And I think that was a great way and still is a great way for you to focus on the areas that are most important to you for branding. And for me, I am trying to do those things. So if I want to be seen as an excellent communicator, being out here doing something like this podcast, or just being in spaces where I'm publicly able to speak with other people, kind of helps me to exude those things that I'm looking to portray. And then being able to work on myself in terms of the different kinds of skills that I want to attain, or just putting the focus in those areas that I know are pieces that I want other people to see in me and pieces that I want to be able to exude myself. That's the goal for branding.
What motivates you and what do you value?
I am motivated by a good challenge. I think if there's something that I need to solve, then I can put my all towards doing that. Just being able to address an issue or being able to look at a problem and figuring out how to get to the next level. A lot of times, even growing up, I feel like there's been a number of things and a number of reasons why a lot of people aren't able to make it to certain points. And so I look at those challenges and try to find ways that I can continue growing and pushing past those points. I just don't think that there should be a reason why you stop yourself from getting to the next level. There's enough things that society places on us where we could fail at a number of things if we just give in to all of those pressures. But just being able to take those challenges and push past it is something that motivates me on a regular basis. In terms of values, I'd say I really am interested in learning about different cultures. So traveling is something that I would enjoy doing more. And whatever travel I can do now is something that I truly enjoy and look forward to. Family and friends are definitely something that's important in what I do on a regular basis as well. I know there's always talk about how to balance it out, especially now as working people trying to figure out how you can fit in all of the work that you want to do or all of the family time you want to spend, but being able to focus my time on spending it with the people that are most important is a big importance to me too.
Is there a moment that you believe shaped your life?
When I think back about my upbringing and just seeing how much depending on other people put folks in a bad position or predicament, that kind of shaped how I think about things now. It was and still is difficult to see people give their all to a person or different family members and it being thrown back in their faces. Just recognizing that people don't all see things the same way that you do. And so you really have to be cautious of your energy and how you kind of give your time and energy towards certain things.
What do you think is the source of your happiness?
Just being able to be free in the sense that not being bound to bills or feeling like you have to do something because someone else wants you to. Those are some things that helps me to be focused on my own happiness. When you don't have to worry about all these outside factors, you can just think through like what things make you excited or what things are you most interested in. Right now, I'm like, yes, I am excited by learning how to do these new things in finance or these new things in communicating or trying to figure out how to most be effective at influencing or helping other people to see things that can help them move further. Sometimes I think we all just need a push closer to what we want to do. And for me, if I'm able to do anything that remotely helps somebody get where they want to be, then it helps me feel like I've done a good bit.
What's your biggest fear?
I worry about not being in the space that I want to be in. I think a lot about like, hey, what if I don't make it to this next level? Or what if I am not as successful as I would want to be? Trying to figure out what that looks like is something that keeps me thinking and keeps my mind going about what I could be doing better. That's what I would say is my biggest fear, but not so much that it's a fear, but it's a real worry.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I see myself being on a number of different speaking engagements. I see myself being considered an expert in my space. I'd be able to travel more to do these speaking engagements and personally, being able to use my time in the way that I see fit. Ideally, I'd be in a managerial role or space, whether that's me with a specific company or doing things on my own, but just being in that kind of ownership space where I can do and have some control over the decisions that I'm making.
What would you do if you inherited money today?
If I inherited money, I would be focused on how I can use that to earn more. I'd be focused on making sure that I set myself up for the future, being able to help make sure that my immediate friends and family are also able to set themselves up for their futures as well. just being able to do something where I can continue sharing my own knowledge and learning and growing with people who are interested in similar things and information as I am. If I could use it to create a course where people can learn some of the things that we talk about here, or using the funds to be able to get my message more broadly casted, would be a good use of the funds to me.
What's the best advice you ever received?
The best advice would have to be when I was told that no one could ever take away the knowledge or education that you have. And so you should focus on learning as much as you can and never stop learning. That mentality just allows me to keep pushing and learning more about myself, learning more about what's going on around the world. So in my neighborhood, in my spaces, I think that it's important to keep learning, whether it's in a classroom, because you're learning from other people, because you are learning from your job, just being in different capacities and trying to learn as much as you can out of it is a very important part of what we do on a day-to-day basis.
What inspires you to work towards your goal?
My inspiration really comes from wanting to continue challenging myself and wanting to reach further than I have been able to, or people in the past have been able to. Coming from a space as a Black woman, knowing the history of African people being brought to different countries, it makes me feel like there's a lot that I could be doing to continue learning and continue going beyond. You can really create a future that can be better than what we've seen today. When I think about future generations being able to do more than what we could even do, I think that holds a lot of the inspiration that I have, where it's just like, okay, what can I do to make tomorrow better?
How do you measure success?
I would say that I measure success just by how I feel I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. So just looking at what I'm working towards and whether I feel like I'm doing enough in each day to learn and grow as much as I would want to. Not that I would compare myself to anybody else in that sense, but just in terms of knowing, like, oh, this person over here is able to read this many books in a week. And I'm like, well, crap, how many books have I read? Or this person is able to learn these many languages or do these specific things. That just being able to put yourself in a space where you are absorbing as much information as you can and sharing as much information as you can. I don't necessarily measure it by a dollar amount, but I think that if you're doing the things that allow you to learn more and you can translate that to earning more, then you'll be successful. You'll have the amount of wealth that you're looking for. So those are the big things that I would say, Tyrion.
Hope you guys enjoyed this inside look on Trisha's life and some of the things that motivate her and keep her pushing forward. Hope you guys have a great week. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.